Thank you all so much for joining us today and celebrating a young life lived beautifully, graciously, kindly, and with great love. 26 years, 2 months, and 4 days. I'm sure Jen would have taken it out a couple more decimal points, but I will be content with 26 years, 2 months, and 4 days. Look around here today. Think about all you have heard about Jen, read about Jen, seen of Jen, know of Jen, and you will begin to realize the impact she had on each person individually and on the world collectively. Today, though, I'm going to let you in on what Jen hoped people did and would think of her. Before Jen had her stem cell transplant on December 8th of 2011, one of the things that was either suggested or required, I don't remember, was that she needed to think about her wishes for her treatment, her future, and her life. She actually filled out a packet answering lots of questions. Her basic answer, do all we can until we can do no more. But one of the questions was, if anyone asks, how would I like to be remembered? Here's her answer. Jen wanted to be remembered for her loyalty. She gave of herself easily and faithfully. Jen had a fierce loyalty to her family. She saw each one of us clearly and wholly and loved us anyway. She counted her family, her nuclear family and her extended family, as her first and most important friends. Jen, as a freshman at Mines, launched herself completely and without reservation into her sorority, Sigma Kappa. I occasionally teased her about the secret handshake thing that goes with being a Greek. She didn't care how much I teased or who did or didn't understand. The Sigma Kappas were her sisters and therefore under the protection of her loyal spirit. Jen was also very loyal to her adopted family, what we call the Chick-fil-A family. She championed and educated and supported and loved the local Chick-fil-A family and by extension, the larger Chick-fil-A family. Jen also hoped to be remembered for her intelligence. She had a beautiful brain and didn't waste it. I remember when Aunt Lori was in grad school, Law was doing a class on gifted and talented. One of the requirements was to do an IQ test with a child. Jen was almost too young. She was only 3 years and 9 months. But she met the requirements and was handy, so Lori asked if I would let her test Jen. I can picture my little redhead on her knees in the chair at the kitchen table, intelligence flashing in her eyes, absolutely loving the whole process. In particular, though, was a section on mazes. Lori would put out a maze and look back at her instructions so she would be able to know how much time to allow to complete the maze. Lori would look up and Jen would be done with the maze. It happened over and over and over. In the time it took Lori to find out if the maze should happen in 1 minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, Jen completed the maze and was ready for the next one. She sailed through high school with straight A's. She did this while also step dancing and performing and participating in youth group, working, developing friendships. Jen fit in perfectly with the brainiacs at Mines. She worked hard, chose her priorities, and was a teacher's pet, of course. I remember telling her it wasn't polite to say out loud that the math was easy. I think that was in DiffyQ, but I don't even know what DiffyQ stands for. Jen wanted to be remembered as loving. I've mentioned her loyalty to her family. This loyalty was born out of great love. She began to look forward to the family camping trips as soon as the current one was wrapping up. She loved the time with her family in the mountains, time to talk and eat and laugh and watch the bats and the stars. Jen loved her Marno and Pops. We lived with them twice, and when we were in our own home, she would call them on the phone and in her little girl voice ask to go to Village Inn. Jen loved her friends. She relished time for coffee or lunch or a pedicure She proudly served as bridesmaid or counselor, spending time listening without judgment because she loved her friends as they are, beautiful, vibrant, joyful. Jen loved her sister cousin Hannah. She'd let Hannah rearrange her room because it made Hannah happy. And then she just put everything back where it was when Hannah went home. She loved Hannah's girls and took great delight in Hannah's stories of them and the girls' blipme's to her. Jen loved her little brother, her Stevie. They fought, and he even bears a scar from her choosing for him to be off the bed. But nobody, and I mean nobody, could be mean to him except her. When they were little and something would happen at the daycare home they went to, Kathy would try to comfort Stephen, and he would just rock right past her, straight into the waiting arms of his sister. She was so proud of him and the person he is and will be. Jen loved her daddy. When she was in elementary school and found out that she had A-positive blood, and that her daddy also had A-positive blood, she decided that's obviously why she was a daddy's girl. She was so proud of him when recently an independent company did a food safety inspection at his Chick-fil-A restaurant, and he received a 94%. She followed his advice post-transplant about what and where she could and couldn't eat because she knew he was fierce. She was her daddy in a little girl body with red hair, and they got each other. Jenny loved Logan. He was her heart. They were friends for years before they seriously started dating, and she loved that he was smart and beautiful and funny. She loved his humor and his seriousness, his hyper-focus and his scattered attention. She loved his brain and his eyes and his family. She loved that her family loved Logan, and Logan loved her family. Jen hoped to be remembered for caring. Her heart for others motivated her to help. She walked for Alzheimer's and raised money for St. Jude's. She walked the Relay for Life with her youth group in high school for Danielle, and translated that after her diagnosis into the Minds Warrior team, working for the American Cancer Society. She partnered with Love, Hope, Strength to raise awareness and get more people on the bone marrow donor registry. She was so happy to get to meet several people while they were actually donating their stem cells, to thank them on behalf of their unknown recipient. 2 of those donors are on the list as a direct result of Jen's influence. She recently became a hero of the crack addicts. Crack being an Irish term for having fun, just so you don't think she went down a road she shouldn't. She resisted this for a really long time. She didn't want to be a hero. She wanted to be a support, someone who helped and visited and uplifted, not someone who battled. Finally, she wanted to be thought of as happy. Jen did not laugh out loud very often, but when she did, it was magical. Her heart was happy. So much made her happy. Big things, little things. As I was thinking over what to say about Jen being happy, I just kept adding to the list. So here's a little sample. Mia and Sophie. Grande margaritas at Fiesta. A train ride to Glenwood. Beautiful shoes. Coach. Her friends' babies. Singing. And Stephen on stage in the Mikado. Visiting Nebraska and a dairy farm in Ohio. Pops' pancakes and donuts with Marno. Hugs from a nurse and teasing Dr. Maris. Unsweet tea, lots and lots and lots of ice. An ice cream with chocolate and a little dash of Oreos. The geese flying south and the first snow. Decorating for fall and Christmas. A call from Hannah. A chat on the couch with Aunt Colleen. Visiting Salida. Coffee, lunch, a phone call, or just a text from Jenny or Shannon or Mandy or Patricia or the rest of her girls. Stampin' Up! New donors on the list. A phone call from her daddy. Hi, Daddy. Logan. Dressing up for Logan, looking at Logan, marrying Logan. I know you'll think of other things that made her happy. Cherish those. There's a parable I'd like to share with you, or maybe it's a story. Jen would think it's funny that I'm debating whether to call it a parable or a story. I even looked up the word parable. A parable is a story designed to teach some truth. I just like the sound of the word parable, so that's what I'm going to call this story. Imagine a throne room, beautiful, resplendent, and on the throne is Jesus. There are lots of people in the throne room waiting to show their tapestries to him. There are kings and presidents, musicians and great orators, scientists, mathematicians, physicians, people of great importance, all anxious to show their tapestries to Jesus. There are beautiful jewels and glorious threads worked in the tapestries, the life tapestries of important people. Waiting in the periphery and feeling very small is one lone woman. She's afraid to approach Jesus. Because her tapestry is worn and a little bit frayed, nothing like the tapestry she sees in the arms of the others in the room. Her life was not glorious or important or grand. She lived and she loved, she worked and played, she laughed and she cried, but the tapestry of her life contains not one jewel of fame, not one fancy thread of riches, nor grand design of accolade. The people in the room are invited one by one to approach the throne of Jesus to show him their life, their tapestry. As each one regales Jesus with the beauty of their tapestry, the lone woman shrinks farther and farther into the back, knowing that she has little to offer. Finally, Jesus catches the woman's eye and calls her forward to his knee. "Please," he says, "show me the tapestry of your life." "Jesus," she cries, "I'm sorry. My tapestry is worn and used and far from glorious. Give it to me and let me be the judge." She hands it to Jesus, and he spreads her tapestry, her life, before him. "What do you see when you look at your tapestry?" Jesus asks the woman. "Jesus, it's so threadbare, I can see you through the tapestry." "Exactly," says Jesus. "You lived your life so others could see me through you. This is all I can ask of anyone, and your life tapestry is priceless." Jen, thank you for allowing us to see Jesus through your life's tapestry. We are all better because you touched us. I love you extra much, baby girl.